أتعلم، أنا أتعلم. إحنا في المدرسة طلاب، نتعلم ويا الأصحاب، نفتح للمستقبل باب، نحيي في الوطن التجديد. إحنا في المدرسة طلاب، نتعلم ويا الأصحاب، نفتح للمستقبل باب، نحيي في الوطن التجديد. أتعلم، أنا أتعلم، حتى أفيد وأستفيد، وأعرف لما أتكلم إنه كلامي صح ومفيد. ليلى لا ليلى لا ليلى لا ليلى لا ليلى لا ليلى لا.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Ashraf Habib from the Yasmin section. Ibn Khaldun Schools, English World Class 4, Grade 4, Unit 10, Lesson 1. It's a reading lesson. The title is Space Travel, and subtitle we have Space Pioneers. Our objectives for today. The learners are guided to read, understand, and practice new vocabulary. Read, understand, and practice reading a biography. Answer all comprehension questions. Before we start our lesson, we are going to explain the meaning of some words. The first word we are going to deal with what's meant by commander, the leader on a space journey. The leader on a space journey. When I say the commander helps the other astronauts to do their work well. The second, orbit. What's meant by orbit? The journey of an object going around a planet or a star. For example, when I say the spacecraft did 2 orbits of Earth. The spacecraft did 2 orbits of the Earth. Parachute. Parachute. Parachute means the large piece of cloth that fills with air and helps people and objectives to go down to the ground slowly. The large piece of cloth that fills with air and helps people and objectives to go down to the ground slowly. When I say the pilot opened his parachute as soon as he jumped out of his plane. The pilot opened his parachute as soon as he jumped out of his plane. Satellite. Satellite. What's meant by satellite? Yes, it's a machine that travels in space and sends signals. A machine that travels in space and sends signals. When I say there are hundreds of satellites in orbit round the Earth. There are hundreds of satellites in orbit round the Earth. I'd like you now to open your pupil's book on page 100. Look at these pictures. What can you see in these pictures? Huh? Yes. A man in his space suit. What else? What else can you see? Hurry. Yes, it's a space shuttle. Okay, what else? A man on a space shuttle. Okay, before we start listening, I'd like you now to put these questions in your mind while listening. Try to find the answer for these questions. Question number 1. Who is the first Arab in space? Who is the first Arab in space? Number 2. When was he born? When was he born? Number 3. When did he start work at the Ministry of Information in Saudi Arabia? When did he start work at the Ministry of Information in Saudi Arabia? Number 4. When did he fly into space? When did he fly into space? The last question. When did he return to Earth? When did he return to Earth? Try to find the answer for these questions while listening. Ready? Okay. Go.
CD 3. Poster 10 and Pupils Book Unit 10, page 100. Reading. Space Pioneers. Prince Sultan bin Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, astronaut, the first Arab in space. This photograph shows Prince Sultan in his spacesuit. Key dates: 27th of June 1956, born in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. 1982, started work at the Ministry of Information in Saudi Arabia. 1985, joined the Royal Saudi Air Force. 17th of June 1985, flew into space on the Space Shuttle. 24th of June 1985, returned to Earth. 1996, left the Royal Saudi Air Force. 2000, became the Minister of Tourism in Saudi Arabia. Prince Sultan flew into space in the Space Shuttle in 1985. Prince Sultan bin Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud was born in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, on the 27th of June 1956. His father is King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud. Prince Sultan's education was in Saudi Arabia and the United States. He went to school in Riyadh, and then he went to the University of Denver in the United States. He graduated from the University of Denver, and a few years after that, he went to Syracuse University and studied for a master's degree. In 1982, he started working at the Ministry of Information in Saudi Arabia. In 1985, he was chosen as an astronaut to go on the space shuttle. Only very fit people could fly on the space shuttle. You could not be too heavy. You had to be young enough and fit enough. He went to NASA in the United States, and he trained at the Johnson Space Center in Houston. It was a very intensive program, and it lasted for 2 months.
Okay, after listening, do you remember the first question? Okay, I'm going to remind you of the first question again. Who is the first Arab in space? Who is the first Arab in space? Who can answer? Very good. Prince Sultan bin Salman bin Abdulaziz. Question number 2. When was he born? When was he born? I'm talking about Prince Sultan bin Salman bin Abdulaziz. When was he born? Excellent. He was born on 27th June 1956. Question number 3. When did he start work at the Ministry of Information in Saudi Arabia? When did he start work at the Ministry of Information in Saudi Arabia? Yes, in 1982. The last question. When did he fly into space? When did he fly into space? Yes, I need a complete answer. He flew into space on a space shuttle on 17th June 1985. And when did he return to Earth? When did he return to Earth? He returned to Earth on 24th June 1985. I'd like you now to look on page 101. What can you see? This is the Earth. This is the Earth. This is an outer look of the Earth. Before starting reading this, you have some questions as usual. Try to find the answer while listening. Question number 1. When did the space shuttle take off? When did the space shuttle take off? Question number 2. How long was Prince Sultan in space? How long was Prince Sultan in space? Question number 3. Who is the youngest person to fly on a space shuttle? Question number 4. What do people call Prince Sultan? What do people call Prince Sultan? Listen in order to answer the questions.
Prince Sultan orbited the Earth in the space shuttle. On the 17th of June, 1985, the space shuttle took off. It orbited the Earth many times. He was in space for 7 days, 1 hour and 38 minutes. There were 6 other astronauts in the space shuttle from the United States and France. Prince Sultan helped to release an Arabsat satellite, which stayed in orbit around the Earth. He became the first Arab in space, the first Muslim in space, and the youngest person to fly on the space shuttle. He was only 28. While he was in space, he spoke on the radio telephone to his uncle, King Fahd of Saudi Arabia. Most of the conversation was in English, but some of it was in Arabic, so he was also the first person to speak Arabic in space. Prince Sultan has 3 children, and he has a successful career in Saudi Arabia. He is still interested in space exploration, and he is famous in the Middle East and around the world as the first Arab to fly into space. People still call him the astronaut prince. The last space shuttle took off on the 21st of July 2011. You can't fly on the space shuttle now. Soon there will be other types of aeroplane going into space. There will be many people from Saudi Arabia going on those flights. Prince Sultan was the first Arab to go into space, but he won't be the last. Important men and women in the history of space exploration. Yuri Gagarin, Russia. The first man in space, the first orbit of the Earth. The 12th of April, 1961. Valentina Tereshkova, Russia. The first woman in space. The 16th of June, 1963. Neil Armstrong, America. The first man on the moon. The 21st of July, 1969.
Okay, let's go back to our questions. Who can tell me, when did the space shuttle take off? When did the space shuttle take off? Yes, the answer is on 17th June 1985. Question number 2. How long was Prince Sultan in space? How long was Prince Sultan in space? The answer is for 7 days, 1 hour and 38 minutes. For 7 days, 1 hour and 38 minutes. Question number 3. Who is the youngest person to fly on a space shuttle? Who is the youngest person to fly on a space shuttle? Of course, this is Prince Sultan bin Salman bin Abdulaziz. Question number 4. What do people call him? What do people call him? Who can answer? Very good. The astronaut prince. The astronaut prince. Here we are going to have other questions on the important men and women in the history of space exploration. Look at the table below. My question is, who is the first man in space? Who is the first man in space? Yes? Of course, the answer is in front of you. This is Yuri. Where is he from? Where is he from? Very good. He's from Russia. Okay, my second question is, who is the first man on the moon? Who is the first man on the moon? The answer is Neil Armstrong. Neil Armstrong. My last question is, who is the first woman in space? Who is the first woman in space? The answer is Valentina. Where is she from? Where is she from? She's from Russia. And when did she fly into space? When did she fly into space? She flew in space on 16th June 1963. I'd like you now to open your workbook. On page 92, exercise number 1. Read and circle true or false. Number 1. Prince Sultan is from the United States of America. Is it a true or false sentence? You remember, Prince Sultan bin Salman is he from the United States of America? Of course, false. This is a false sentence. Number 2. He was chosen as an astronaut to go on the space shuttle. He was chosen as an astronaut to go on the space shuttle. Yes, this is true sentence. Number 3. It's very easy to be an astronaut for the space shuttle. Is it easy? False. False. Number 4. Prince Sultan stayed in space for just 7 hours. 7 hours? False. False. Number 5. He was the first Arab and Muslim to go into space. He was the first Arab and Muslim to go into space. Exactly true. Number 6. He spoke in English and French in space. You remember when he called King Fahd? Did he speak in English and French? False. He spoke in English and Arabic. Number 7. He helped release an Arabsat satellite in space. He helped release an Arabsat satellite in space. True. The last one. There are no more space shuttle flights into space. There are no more space shuttle flights into space. Yes, this is a true sentence. Exercise number 2. Match the words with the definitions. Write the words you may check in your dictionary. Number 1. Area between planets and stars. What do we call it? Very good. Space. Number 2. Satellite of the Earth, visible at night by light reflected from the sun. What do we call it? Choose one. What do we call it? Excellent. Moon. Number 3. Teach. Teach means, Very good. Train. Train. Number 4. Artificial body placed in order to collect information or communicate. Artificial body placed in order to collect information or communicate. The answer is satellite. Excellent. Number 5, 6, 7 will be your own homework.